This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You.
Hola, mi gente. All right, now for the last couple weeks, you've been hearing us award at the end of every episode a Barbaro de la Semana, right? And that is because we have been working with a fantastic brand of Cuban hot sauces that is called Barbaro Mojo, which, I mean, you and I have always said this. We love bringing on people who have names that it's like, damn, why didn't we think of that name? This is the case of that. So thank you so much for that. We're here today with Mario and Kevin Cruz, the starters, owners, originators of, I think I can just use every word, right? Yeah, absolutely. Of Barbaro Mojo. So thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So, all right, I got to start like from the beginning, right? Because I will tell you this. When I lived in New York, as our listeners know, I'm not a big spice person. Like, I don't really do spice. And everybody would be like, but you're a Cuban. I'm like, but Cubans don't really do hot sauce. Right. Cubans don't really do spice. We do garlic. We do orange. How did you guys become the company that proves my entire statement wrong to all of New York?
So I think initially it started, I was getting into hot sauce in my college years because I grew up in Miami. Yeah, exactly. I grew up in Miami, didn't eat hot food basically ever, like reflecting your experience. But I began to really enjoy eating hotter stuff and trying hot sauces specifically. So I kind of wanted to bring that into our sort of like normal day-to-day use in my house when I was visiting home from college. And then it all kind of came together one Noche Buena, essentially. I said,
as all things do, Noche Buena.
Right. Yeah. We always have fried turkey sandwiches with mojo on top of it for lunch every year for Noche Buena.
For Noche Buena.
Yeah. So Noche Buena, because we have Jackie and a whole bunch of people. Some people could come for lunch and some people come for dinner. So for the lunch crowd, we deep fried 2 turkeys while the lechon is cooking.
So your Noche Buena is really like an all-day event, all-day
From
buffet.
9 a.m. to midnight.
Probably earlier than that.
Why go to the Golden Corral when you could, have your buffet all day?
It's El Día Bueno.
El Día Bueno.
Right. So it is, and for me, it's always more important than Christmas Day. Really, Christmas Day for me is a day of you just hang with your family and you open presents and for us it's like play Yuki, play video games. So for us, Christmas Day was a day of just rest, but Noche Buena has always been since I was a kid, right? And we've kept it tradition. So because we have people for the last 25 years, I hostess for my whole family. Some people are married, or there's divorces. So like, I have to be that family at this time or that family.
Right.
So I say it's an all day thing. You can come to eat lunch. You can come to eat dinner. You can come in the middle. And so he wanted us to make a spicy pork or a spicy turkey. So I said, that's not going to happen because my parents won't eat that.
Right.
Because back to what you said, Cubans like spice, but not spicy.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's good.
And so I started eating spice. I'm not going to say I eat a spice level that Kevin eats, but I started making more spicy. So Kevin, I can cook like 15 things really, really, really great. Like fantastic, right? Kevin can cook, right, like lechon, picadillo.
The classics.
All the classics. But Kevin can cook everything well. Great, right? He's the chef really, right? So like whatever I could do, he could do better than a whole bunch of stuff. And so he made a concoction together. We made that with me and my wife and Kevin. But then it was a spur of the moment with the leftover mojo.
Yeah.
I make my own mojo, which we'll talk about that also. And then he made that, but then it was like lost, right?
Yeah, like our first edition was basically just like Valentina's. I don't know if you ever had that hot sauce. It's like a Mexican hot sauce. You can find it very commonly in Mexican restaurants, which I really liked. It was just basically a mixture of Valentina's with some like mojo that we had left over. It wasn't very sophisticated.
Some onions, garlic.
It was DIY.
Right, DIY. And I had made it just in a moment to try on that turkey sandwich on one Noche Buena. And it kind of ended there for a while, basically. Like, maybe this happened in 2018, 2019. And it just had happened in a flash.
2017, then December 2017, becoming 2018.
Right. So then the hot sauce and Cuban fusion kind of doesn't exist for a couple years. Until COVID happens.
Of course.
Well, no. So for the next Noche Buena, which is 2019, we made some just for lunch. So that time I tried to recreate the whole thing, and so we recreated the el habanero and jalabao, right? Sure. A green and a red, which is really, the jalapenos for the guys that didn't want that. Those are the original 2 sauces we made. Yeah. And so we started making those, and we made 5 bottles, 3 of one, 3 of the jalabao, and 2 of the habanero.
That day.
No, I made it 2 days before. Yeah. Because I have to deep fry.
It's our Super Bowl, so
it's our Super Bowl. So I prepped that whole week, and then it was a hit again, and so the following year we made like 10 bottles, right? And then it was a hit. And the following year, I made like 30 to 40 bottles to give away as gifts. And then I put my face on it as a joke. It's called Barbaro as a joke because I was born in Santa Barbara.
Oh, that's December 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
So every good Cuban knows December 4th.
He was almost named Barbara, by the way.
Right. So my grandmother or my aunt wanted to name me Barbara, but my parents, like my mom was like, no way. I was like, you should have named me Barbara. That's a cool name right now.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
So I called it Barbaro Mojo as a joke with my face on it for my mom, as a joke. But then what happens is COVID hits.
Yeah, so COVID hits. Our normal Noche Buena is essentially canceled. We can't have anybody over. So instead of hosting a Noche Buena, that's when we first really start to produce the bottles to give to just our friends and our family as the sort of like, oh, here's our sentiment from our family to yours. And again, this is like a nice fusion of, my generation and the heat and his,
I love that this started off essentially as like, you just testing and messing around. Then it evolved into like un cariñito to give out to people, like un recordatorio. And now I'm holding a bottle for sale.
Yeah, exactly.
With your face on it.
Then I didn't want my face after we were becoming Barbaro Mojo. So like Kevin said, then people started asking for bottles that I didn't know. Yeah. So I said, oh my God, this is a real thing. But then, like I said, somebody will sue me. So I said, let's start a company. Yeah. Let's put it so people can order. Yeah. And then we would make it on our kitchen still till like the first almost year and a half. We would spend the whole weekend making.
This is like since 2022, like up until 2022, we had to lose a whole day and we made like 30 bottles.
Yeah, right. It would be 30 for one and 30 and another day for 30 for the other one.
Yeah, maybe we'll make like 2 flavors in one day, 30 bottles each in a single batch. So like 60 bottles total of only 2 flavors, and that was a whole day.
So it's still like un tremendo proceso.
Yeah, exactly. And then not only that, you have to deal with the pepper fumes in your house. Right.
For the whole day.
So from what I'm hearing is like all good businesses and good ideas. This sort of started as like a whim. Like it's not that you were a little kid and you dreamed of making hot sauce one day.
Not at all.
You were like, let me make this sauce together. It was good. People liked it. Let me see where this goes. And here you are.
Yeah, and then during COVID, we grew our own peppers because it was hard to find Reaper. It was hard to find habaneros. So we're growing this in my backyard. We're growing our own habaneros and our own Reapers in my backyard. And Kevin basically graduated in the middle of COVID also. So
that's when I moved back to Miami.
Right when we shut down, it was basically when Kevin, there was no graduation. It was like over Zoom. Right. They called your name. It was like...
Yeah, so that's why we were both here, and that's when we really started to sort of like build the actual business part. And that's all been my dad. I'm going to give him full credit. I'm the flippant creative. He's the businessman. He's the doer that made it happen. It was just my idea, but he made it a reality. The bottle you see for instance.
So I'm glad you said that because as one guy who makes sauce to another, because I make the sauces from Pimpan Pollo from scratch, and I know how frustrating that can be. Tell us a little bit about your creative process. Like what you have several sauces. What is your idea? Maybe you get an idea for a certain sauce. How is your creative process, your creation from the moment that you think about it to the finished product?
So the original sauces, jalabao and el habanero, those are like our 2 like flagship sauces that we started. The first ones we had out into production. Actually, my dad was the one that came to the initial like composure for the ingredients, which is basically like your traditional mojo and a little bit of the, I guess, of the sofrito that you would include in like a normal Cuban, cuisine, in addition to some hot peppers. So that's how it kind of started. Then as we started to derive new sauces off that formula is when like the more creative part, for example, like piñazo, right? The first thing the funny name of piñazo, that's my baby. I always say that's the one that I made myself. Name. It started with the name first. I said, I want to make a hot sauce with piña in it called piñazo. And then, it was kind of top-down design, not a bottom-up design in that regard. So I worked with specifically like, how can we incorporate pineapples in a mojo? So that one actually doesn't use sour orange in like a normal mojo does. It actually uses pineapple juice, which has a similar acidity, but has a way higher sweetness than like naranja agria does. So, but that one specifically, I started with the name first, and I said, all right, this is a problem. I got the beginning and the end. Now I have to figure out the middle.
Right. The fun part.
Yeah.
And then we literally just make a whole bunch of batches.
Yeah.
Until you perfect it. So
Right.
and then too thick, it's too watery, it's not sweet enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure the same thing you have with your
It's
sauce.
too hot, not hot enough. The color isn't right.
Yeah. Do you still have your sauces? Like, do you still consume them?
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I'll-
for sure.
Okay, you're a better man than I am.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because by the time I'm happy with a sauce, that I'm like, okay, I could put this to our chicken wings and ping pong pollo. I'm like done. I'm like, I never need to have that sauce again.
Well, the thing that helps with me is like whenever we were making these sauces and developing them, it's a family event. We have my whole family there, which we're 6 in total, plus our cousins and our friends of the family, which we call our cousins, which aren't actually related to us.
Of course,
Well,
you're
you're
Cuban cousins.
Exactly, Cuban cousins.
Okay, we have Cuban cousins. You know how
So
that
and we're just like it's always like 30 people at our house, so it's easy to get a good sample size and say and it's like
Oh yeah. You have 2 more sample sizes here,
And-
so we want to be part of the Cuban cousins next time you're developing a new sauce.
So when we,
Cuban cousins also want to be part of that all day Noche Buena at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah.
it's an open house. You can come. A lot of
What is
people
it?
will-
R&D, our research and development R&D. We want to be part of the R&D.
right.
So what Kevin said is true. So we'll order like 2 huge boxes of croquetas from Sergio's, and then everybody has hot sauces.
That's our
Life is
our
good.
number one testing
Yeah.
device is croquetas.
I'm not seeing a problem with that process at all.
So that's why, like you said, if you're just in the lab tasting it yourself and trying it over and over again, I can see like getting to that sort of point where like, all right, I'm done with this. But luckily I taste it like once or twice and I get, feedback from 30 other people. And that helps me sort of build.
So I mean, I know you guys started on a whim and then it became like a gift for everybody and it kind of snowballed from there. But at what point did you guys kind of look at each other and go, this could be a business, like this could be something that could have some legs to it and not just this hobby of like, oh, we'll do it and it's nice for Noche Buena, because it's one thing to have the idea of like, I do this thing very well. And it's another thing to say, you know what? Yeah, we can totally sell this.
It's almost like people do these startups where you build we call it Flintstoning, where you build something where basically you're doing everything in the back end. You say we have this website, and we in the startup mode we call it Flintstoning, where you're basically doing all the work in the behind, right? There's no real magic to that. It's all we call it Flintstoning because it looks like. People say like it's automagically. Really, it isn't.
It's being done by hand.
Right. So the same thing happened here where we give away these things. I gave it to a whole bunch of friends also, and the following Christmas, what Kevin was talking about, where we now are in COVID, like the first one we made 50 bottles. I made them almost like 250 bottles between of 100 100 of one and 150 of another one, and that went all over people that I wasn't going to see because we're all stuck in COVID, right? So like I run the Maker Faire in Miami. I go to all these other events and stuff, and those things weren't really happening, right? So I just said, hey, here's a little piece of Miami. Here's some other things, and then what happened there is people goes like, I would buy this. Like if you put this.
Okay, so people started saying, I would pay for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then you decided, I like money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yes, I want you to pay for it.
And it wasn't even really like, oh, we can make money off this. Like, oh, we're like giving this away. We need to finance this like more legitimately because we're just.
Bottles are not cheap. I mean, let's not even talk about the sauce. The bottles are not cheap. Yeah.
And peppers are not cheap. Peppers are,
At least in Florida, yeah, too. Especially.
So we would buy peppers by like 3 or 4 pounds of each pepper, and then 3 or 4 pounds of tomatoes.
And we bought it from like Publix, like not like a distributor or something like a wholesaler,
We get our peppers at Fresco, so yeah.
Exactly.
And so then I found out where the what's the hometown? Our hometown barbecue is.
Oh yes.
So then I would go. There's literally like a little market next to hometown where they would have fresh habaneros.
Oh.
So the lady would tell me,
okay.
and I would buy them there. I would buy literally a box of fresh habaneros.
Like in bulk.
In bulk. Where then you get that, but only half of them are ripe.
Right.
So that's the thing. So it's fresh pepper. So it's so. Again, and shipping is expensive. So I said, you pay for shipping. that was the first website. You pay for shipping, and we'll ship it.
Hell yeah.
And we started getting feedback,
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, we're gonna build a Shopify store,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do this, and that's
So like the legitimacy came as a necessity to continue to make the sauce, at a certain scale, and now we have a plant that makes them because making it at our house was not cutting it,
So you're not just slaving over a stove somewhere
Right,
anymore.
Right.
Aw.
So if you look at our post, we just posted a post on our new sauce matanza. You can see it. So we're very involved still.
Yeah.
But the kettle's the size of this room.
Right.
Right.
So
So
it's
that's the
operating on a
thing.
level that we can't.
So basically, they're there. They're doing everything to our specs, to our specification. We're there during that process, right? It's all the way to the pieces of it. But the kettle literally is the size of this
Well,
room.
and to your credit, because whenever I look at something like that's good, I always look at it's the first thing I do. I look at the ingredients. All your ingredients, they're real. Like the first ingredient, tomatoes, not a word you can't explain. You can't pronounce, and that's so important when you do. Like when you have something that is quality is important because you could buy any hot sauce at Publix, but is it this type of level of complexity of flavors, especially?
And this is one of the things, and again, you go learning. So we wanted piñazo to be totally natural. So this was a thing where I asked Kevin, hey, maybe instead of using the sour orange for the base, let's use the pineapple. Because the only non-natural thing in there is the preservative for the sour orange. Right? That's the only thing non-natural in our bottle. And people go, what is that? I go, well, it's orange. So sour orange is basically just what's the actual name of sour oranges? It's like Madrid, Valencia.
Chico naranja.
Yeah, but it has no name. to it.
they're like it's like a mutant technically.
Yeah, right. And that really goes bad like any other orange.
Right.
So with piñazo, we wanted people to, I'm a purist. I only eat things that don't have preservatives.
preservatives,
So
yeah.
I said, let's change the base of the sour orange to make that. And Kevin, he dialed it in, right? I said,
Right.
let's, go figure it out and dial it in. And he dialed it in. So that when people say, I don't want a preservative, piñazo does have those preservatives.
Yeah.
It's 100% all natural. There's nothing in there that's not that's
Well, there's a difference between something having a preservative and still being natural
Right.
than something, because so many times in sauces you see extract of this and you see
Red dye number
or
6.
or you see natural flavors, whatever that means. So that's obviously not the case here.
Yeah, and something that actually kind of inspired me, like when I started getting into hot sauces, I did exactly what you were talking about. I was looking at the ingredients, and there's always cayenne pepper extract or habanero extract, or sometimes they just say pepper extract or chili. And when I wanted to make the sauce, I wanted to make it to have like actual ingredients and actual whole peppers in it. So we have when we make our blend, you're having an entire habanero piece in there. It's not like some sort of distilled, diluted little extract from a pepper. It's a green I hate.
And again, we'll taste this later. You'll see that we keep the chunks in there because we made this in our Ninja food processors, right?
Oh.
So we wanted it to have the same. Like when we went to the co-packer and said we're going to do this together, it has to have the same consistency, right? We don't want this watery thing. We want the chunks of tomatoes, the chunks of peppers. So when we're looking at the bottle, that's
It
a chunk
still
of
is
pepper right
homemade.
there, right?
For all,
So it looks homemade because the best thing we had was a Ninja blender and a Ninja food processor.
Well, but you know what? But you know what? That's very important. That's very important because so many times, especially with food, you think of a concept, you think of either a recipe, a sauce, whatever, and then when you mass produce it, those little details go away, and that's what makes a product special.
Exactly.
Because, as I said, you could get hot sauce anywhere, but does it have those ingredients? Does it have that consistency, that flavor profile? And that's very important, especially when you mass produce it. That it's not watered down and it's sort of a resemblance of what you started with. So props to you for not giving up and compromising on the integrity of the sauce.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also we wanted to sort of maintain that. I don't know if you ever bought mojo at a store. You have to shake it,
Yeah.
It's not going to be all homogenous you get it. And we wanted to maintain that sort of aesthetic and also, the ingredients that part of that culture of mojo is a thing that is not homogenous, it's not neat, but it's amazing, and we put it on everything. So,
and I actually I love the imaging, the branding, the everything from the labels. The picture of you, sir, is a great idea. The names are absolutely incredible. You know what's so good about the names? That the names obviously are like Cuban words and sayings, but the names also remarkably give you an idea of what you're about to endure.
Yeah.
Which is very clever. It's very cleverly done because something tells me that a piñazo is not mild.
Yeah.
You know, it's
The only problem that we have with our naming convention currently is it's hard to sell to Northerners, people that don't live,
piñata,
Yeah.
piñazo.
Just market it as exotic.
Right.
Yeah. The funny thing, piñazo is pretty good, but halawao, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. People butcher that. Like
Halawao is the one that gets butchered the most.
Yeah,
we just did an event.
What is it? Jalebo?
Jalabao, yeah. I just did an event in Philadelphia, and yeah, I got a lot of that. Pinezo and Jalobo. That's what they would say, and it works for our Miami audience, but not so much for them.
Listen, as long as the check clears.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know what though? Yeah, I've said this before. We have to be strong with our Cubanity, as Martha Darby says from my big fat Cuban blog. Think about all the words that we've learned from other cultures. Like, there's people in the U.S. that say mozzarella, and I'm like, really? Are you Italian?
Yeah.
Or like all the words, that we've adopted. So you know what? People need to adopt some of ours.
If you can say charcuterie,
yeah,
you can say piñazo.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's like,
That's a good one.
and the funny thing is, we make business decisions. So like Matanza that one's one we've had like in our back. We have 3 more in our back pocket.
Yeah.
That we've
Nice.
made. Right?
So our big challenge now is getting them out to production, on the scale that we want to have them out. Because before, when we're making a kitchen, week by week we can have a new flavor and be, trying new stuff out. But if we want to make 1,000 bottles to deliver and to sell, then it becomes more difficult.
So obviously you have clients all over the country.
Yes.
Right.
yeah. Actually,
over the
internationally.
All over the world. Okay. So I'm gonna this is a 2-tiered question. So other than South Florida or Florida, let's say, what is the state that buys your sauces the most?
So it really depends because what's happened, thanks to our amazing new marketer, right? Is we had a couple of good stores. So we're at Chug's Diner, all right, and that helped us, for a while. But we're seeing a whole bunch of Cuban restaurants not in Miami,
Right.
right? That in Savannah we have one in Pine Street, and we have one in New Jersey now, right? And so we have one now in Connecticut. We have one now in California. So there's all these Cuban restaurants, right?
People in Connecticut are having a halawao.
Yeah, because what happens is people walk into a Cuban restaurant thinking, where's your hot sauce? So now I say, we have Cuban hot sauce, right? And the funny thing is, because I am such a nerd, right, is like, we came up with the name Cuban Hot Sauce, but that's an oxymoron for all of us in this room,
Right.
It doesn't exist. So I bought that domain first, right? I owned CubanHotSauce.com before we even came up with Barbaro Mojo. So we own, and then we said we're going to call it Barbaro Mojo because of the joke. And I was like, again, I wasn't thinking I was going to stick. When we were going to go live, I wanted to change my face to a campesino, like a Cuban campesino, like a Cuban cowboy.
Right.
And it was like, no, and then they were like,
Everybody fought for it.
yeah, I was
We
like,
said,
no, you got to keep your face on. I was like, it's not a great face. It's
But
It's the face of Cuban hot sauce.
it's the face of Cuban hot sauce.
I think
Exactly.
it's iconic, and I think I think by putting some generic campesino on there, it's not going to be the same family.
No,
vibe
yeah,
that
and
we
it brings it into the family.
Yeah. So we now sell pretty much in almost all 50 states, and over the last year, Kevin and I have done a whole bunch of shows. Right.
Yeah,
There's all
expos.
these big Cuban Cuban hot sauce expos, and nobody has a Cuban hot sauce.
Yeah, we're the only Cubans there.
Yeah, we're seeing some competition show up now, but we own the name, we own the domain, we own
Right.
the brand, we own the trademark.
Que bárbaro.
Que bárbaro.
And what country, like outside of the U.S., like is there any country that has like surprised you?
So I have this one guy in Switzerland that buys from me.
Yeah, I see. I was going with Switzerland or Sweden.
And
Yeah,
he buys. So he buys them. He buys a 4-pack, like 4 packs.
and he's Swiss.
And he's Swiss.
Oh, because I was like, oh, maybe he's a Cuban that's living in Switzerland.
But I mean, he told me he lived in South Florida, so he could be.
Oh,
married to a Cuban.
there we go.
He could
There
be
we
married
go.
to a Cuban.
Or he's Cuban. He was here long enough.
Yeah, he caught the bug.
Yeah.
In Canada, we do really well in Canada also. It's all pretty much all over Canada.
You could put it on poutine.
It's true.
But we do a lot of our business is like small hot sauce curators across the country. Besides like the Cuban restaurants that my dad was talking about, they come and they try our sauce, and they're like known to be the curators of sauce in their area. You know, like people trust their taste and they trust their preferences. So they'll buy from us to sell out their local hot sauce to their peoples because they like what we have,
and they're the like authority in that area.
Right. So we like that's what we do a lot of business too, especially when we do these expos. Like a couple months ago in last spring, we went to New Mexico. We went to the biggest hot sauce festival in the U.S. You know,
I'm talking about a line out the door of thousands and thousands of people waiting for it to open. Oh wow! We probably saw 20,000 people in 2 days. That didn't include the Friday, which is industry only, where we talk to these other vendors. It was amazing. It was like there's people sometimes 3 to 4 rows deep at your table.
Wow!
Yeah.
So this is like the Comic-Con of hot sauce.
It is. And I don't know how familiar you are with New Mexico, but it's also like the capital, especially Albuquerque, New Mexico, is like the chili capital of the U.S. Red and green chilies, they all come from that area.
We're learning so much with this.
Depending on where you are in New Mexico, like the highland versus lowland peppers have different flavors, and there's different sort of cultures. So it was like kind of like the hot sauce mecca in a way.
Yeah, if you've ever had if you go to Publix and you buy red chili, which is really Fresno pepper, is nothing compared to the red chili when you go eat a Christmas taco in Mexico or Texas or Arizona. It's that chili.
What I just heard is that I would die eating that taco.
Yeah. It's hot, but it also has a very distinct flavor too, which I like about it.
Okay, so enough talk now. I want to eat. So I want to try these sauces, and we're here with them. So we got to do this. So what are we starting with? We're starting. Okay, so is this the one we should start with?
Yes, halal.
So welcome to Hot Ones Part 2. Today, all Barbaro Mojo sauces. Okay, so they were kind enough to bring 5 of their sauces. So we were going to start with lightest or mildest first.
Yeah. And that one is going to be the tangiest and the one you can taste the most mojo in it. It's basically mojo with hot sauce versus.
I will say I do use that one because you guys sent a little sample pack earlier, and
He didn't give me shit.
I didn't give him anything. I actually really like that one. I still use it because again, it is the lightest one, and the mojo flavor just really comes through.
We use that not only for eating like you are, but I marinate with that.
Yeah, so what's good about all of our sauces, because they have that mojo base, so most hot sauces have a vinegar base, which gives them that acidity that you like, or that makes you really taste the flavor of the hot sauce. Ours, using that mojo, brings a similar acidity, but has a bit of a depth to it, so. And because it has that mojo, it also doubles as marinade. So, like, I think last year we marinated an entire pork shoulder and roasted it, in this? In a cajachina, and we used halabao exclusively to marinate it.
This is really good.
That was the other thing is then we started doing all of these pig roasts, like the Belen pig roast and this Peter and Paul pig roast, and we started making spicy pork. And then Kevin would pickle these beautiful onions and do all this other stuff, so it would be like really, really pretty.
Yeah, meanwhile, who would have thought this was our ASMR episode?
Yeah,
we're just crunching.
Yeah,
on
we're
this
crunching on
microphone.
these tostone chips. Are particularly loud.
And
by the way, these tostone chips are insane because they are not mariquitas; they are tostone chips.
And these are chifles. We do a lot of deals with chifles. They're really phenomenal and a partner. And we have this in our store now, so now you can buy a bundle because whenever you go to one of our events, right, wherever it is, we give people to taste. You can taste with like a paper spoon, but you can taste with these chifles tostones.
I don't know if I'm going to taste it. I want to taste it on something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for the next one.
This one's called piñazo.
Oh, I haven't tried this one.
So this one is pineapple with pineapple juice in it instead of the naranja agria. And this one has a blend of red chilies, habaneros, and a little bit of Carolina Reaper. Now, the Reaper sounds really scary at first, but the pineapple juice is very acidic and very sweet, so it actually kind of squashes the heat like tremendously.
So what you're telling me is don't fear the Reaper?
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
fear the Reaper.
Like the Blue Oyster Cult said, don't fear the Reaper.
You'll feel the Reaper at the last two.
Yeah. You'll feel the Reaper later, but not on this one. So yeah, this one you're going to immediately taste more sweetness than the halabao, which has like almost little to no sweetness, except for the natural sweetness that comes with like the tomatoes and stuff.
And this is my everyday sauce right now. This is my even when we marinate with the green, I eat it with the piñazo.
Yeah, and this one's on the thicker side too. So
That has a very unique flavor profile. Very unique.
In what sense?
I haven't tasted a lot of things like that.
yeah, because what we maintain in all of our sauces is that sort of savory blend that comes inherently with mojo, you know, with the spices and the vegetables and the sofrito. In addition to some of that sweetness, it kind of creates a very, like, you know, it has two different, you know, it's like in two different places.
Right, and it has 2 different peppers in it. That one has habanero and Fresno pepper. When we talk about the red chili, it's our Florida red chili, not New Mexico red
And
chili.
a little bit of Reaper blend.
Yeah, and Reaper.
That's just to maintain the heat.
The only thing that, like, sort of, like, I think it doesn't even taste like it is, you know, that Asian chili sauce they give you?
Sweet chili sauce.
So I mean, it doesn't taste like it, but it's the only
Yeah, it's
thing I could
reminiscent.
think of that has a similar.
Well, it has the same sort of similar red chilies that you would
Right.
have in a sweet chili sauce, and then it has that sort of like really big sweetness that comes with the pineapple juice.
But the pineapple there is definitely the curveball, which is
Yeah.
really nice.
And Kevin makes red chili sauce for us at home.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you still cook at home then.
Oh yeah, I cook daily.
He comes over and he'll make some red chili sauce and leave me like a bottle of red chili sauce we can put on.
Yeah.
All right, so this is el habanero.
El habanero. So this one,
Can I have more chips?
the main pepper is habanero chips,
Thank you.
hence the name El Habanero. My dad is not from La Habana, but on my mom's side, all that family's from Havana. So
I'm assuming you're from Matanza?
yeah,
There we go.
My family's from Matanza. Well, I'm from Matanza too. I was born in Cuba.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was born in Cuba, Matanza, and that's where.
We're having an habanero?
Yeah, the habanero is really good, but I wanted to call it El Habanero, so I was like,
Right. So this is a person from Havana, you know,
It is.
as opposed to just a habanero pepper.
yeah.
But yeah,
Again,
this
bringing
one,
that brand identity in.
This one you're gonna really feel that heat up front, but you're gonna have a nice brightness that comes with the acidity of the mojo.
I love when people speak like that about food.
Yeah, and again, it has a nice little. Again, this is like it has a bite, but it has a nice like decay to it, right? And you can then taste the flavor. And it's funny because all our sauces are different that way, right? Some get to the front, some get to the back. This one has like it's front loaded, but then it's nice, so you can have it a lot because your mouth is not constantly on fire.
I just did the cardinal sin of putting water on that.
Yeah,
Just a
so
little bit.
habanero peppers, they have that upfront bright, like my dad was saying. We'll get later on into the Reaper in the next one, and the last one. Those will continue to have a lingering burn afterward. That's just kind of
Yeah,
the-
I did it
That's
backwards last
hot,
time.
but it's not unbearable.
yeah.
No, and so for cooking, we make chili. Again, we make a lot of chili cook-offs. We make a lot of this is a go-to cookie one. Even for cooking, this is a good sauce. I mean,
I
again,
made spicy mayo with it for like Japanese onigiri. I made like a crab salad with it. And it
With
came out
this
really
one.
good.
yes, yeah, and then yeah, Kevin again, I can tell you, I'm really good at these certain amount of things, but Kevin can cook anything. So he's where he goes, oh, let's try habanero and let's try some soy sauce and then it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Always.
So I think this one works well with savory dishes because the sofrito's just so damn good. I mean, we're all familiar with how it works. So I think
What is sofrito?
sofrito is the tomato, pepper, onion, garlic base, you know, that you have, and
It really does give everything like just
Yeah.
a taste. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also
And it's easy.
the spices that go with it. So cumin, oregano, salt,
Como
pepper.
americano es sofrito.
Sofrito.
Yeah, sofrito.
You know what I will say about the first three, at least, that I've had, is that el habanero is spicy, but they're flavorful. Right.
Yeah.
You can still taste it.
Yeah.
Because I feel that that's my thing a lot of times with hot sauces. It's you're on fire, and it's like, what am I tasting?
It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
And
yeah.
The goal here was always flavor first.
Yeah.
And this is why we don't have a burn your face hot sauce
Thank you.
because
And we only even made this super hot sauce that we have, the matanza we'll get onto later, because people, these hot sauces were like, it's not hot enough. It's gotta get hotter.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's why we have our triple X Korean sauce.
with
Exactly.
Barbaro. And even that one. So that one, I made it. It's just so with my Korean sauce. It's gochujang
Oh, I love
based,
gochujang. Yeah.
but it has a little bit of heat. But people be like, "Oh, this is not hot enough."
Yeah.
So I made an extra hot one that you could try later if you want. And basically, it's the same recipe. I just added Caspasian oil. which that is lava in a bottle.
Yeah.
And there's still people that are like, that's still not hot enough. And I'm like, you know what? You know what? You're never going to be satisfied.
Exactly right. And we run into those people too. Even like the people that eat like fiery hot stuff in competition, they want a savory hot sauce too. Like they understand that it's a thing you need, but it's not.
It's a novelty, you know, like that like the bomb from the Hot Ones challenge. It's not there to taste good. It's only there to hurt you.
Let me ask you something. What is the purpose of that sauce? As somebody who's had it.
It is. Like I said, it's a novelty. It's just to be like, hey, look at me. I'm going to eat this thing that's stupidly hot. That doesn't taste good for the sake of doing it.
It is not pleasant.
So you know what? You said you saw the video of us doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you noticed. I had the whole wing. Him and Darwin just had a bite. I had the whole wing.
Clean the wing.
I don't understand how somebody can have maybe like a dozen wings or something like that. I don't think they physically can.
So we actually in Philly, by complete coincidence, I met the world champion hot food eater, and this guy, he's like you would like a pro boxer. He has to go defend his title in the world all over the world. So he was telling me he went to Croatia and to New Zealand, and this guy's eating like 30 Carolina Reapers raw in like 10 minutes.
But why?
There's
And
no need for that.
again, it's those people are kind of like chasing the dragon, kind of when it comes to the hot stuff. You know, it's not like
I mean, opium's probably better.
Wait, we just had a matanza.
No.
I'm just having habanero.
Habanero.
Oh, okay. Okay, so next one is
Best
Best
Day
Day Ever. So this one is
And then so
I'm already sweating.
and
this one's tough.
So
Yeah,
it depends on your
depends.
it's good. It really depends on your receptivity to sweetness, because this technically has a hotter pepper. It's a blend of habaneros and Reaper, while the last one we just had was just habanero. But it also has mango in it, so the mango actually really helps tamper the heat.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And I know it's like the hottest one you had at the time.
the funny thing is when we do all these events, some people say el habanero is hotter.
Yeah,
It depends on your palate.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because it's the sweetness of this one,
Yeah.
they mentioned
psychologically, just
Yeah.
if nothing else.
And they mentioned this recently on Hot Ones, for example, that like Scoville, which is like technically this would be a higher Scoville because it has Reaper and habanero, doesn't actually reflect the way that your palate receives heat.
Yeah, because that's something I did research on that when I had them. The Scoville in the bomb is lower than in other ones.
Yeah.
But it
You know-
hurts way more.
You know what?
But it hurts more.
That one, I thought the habanero was
right?
was hotter.
So it depends. It depends really on your palate. We see this all the time, and that's like if you see the bomb on the show, it hurts everybody more
Hit me up more.
than the other two because of the way it works. Back
Yeah.
to the receptor.
Well, that one is basically just like bear mace in a bottle, essentially. Like it's not meant to be pleasant.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, even though this one is technically higher on a Scoville and it's technically hotter, you're gonna taste it differently than you would expect.
You know what? I think this is my favorite up to now.
Okay.
It's really good.
That's one of our, like, for people that actually enjoy hot sauce, that's the one that I think is our best seller. For people that are not too into hot sauce, they tend to like piñas or halabao.
I mean, the heat is there.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend it's not, but it's actually very flavorful. So, what do you like to put on that one?
This one I think is really good on like tacos. Like I think that mango flavor brings a nice sort of balance to like savory dishes, like good on a burger or something like that. I don't like cooking with this one as much. I think it works better as a sauce than as an actual ingredient. Like el habanero, I think is very good as an ingredient, but this one I think is better to kind of be the solo artist in the show, you know, on top of whatever you're eating.
I'm just having these tostone mariquitas now just for fun because these are amazing.
Listen, we have like bags of this everywhere in our house and like constantly just going and grab one, you know.
As you should.
Yeah.
All right. So the last one is the matanza. I feel like you're about to give me a warning. Like I have to send a
So-
waiver or something.
The way we made matanzas first.
Oh.
And then I have a whole bunch of mangoes in my house, and we had all these mangoes, so we made best day ever because it was for Father's Day. So I gave away as gifts as Father's Day with mango, and everybody's like, "Oh, Matanza should hold on. You should come out with best day ever." And again, like,
Yeah, so we ended up putting out best day ever first, even though Matanza technically was designed first in our like personal kitchen. So this one is basically like the last one, except it has no sweetness, has no mango in it, and it has a higher proportion of peppers in the solution than. Basically, we replaced the mango with more peppers.
Yeah, this one has a lot of.
So we're not beating around the bush here.
No,
Here
this
we
one's
go.
hot. But I think this one actually ended up having really good flavor.
It tastes sweet because the habanero is sweet, and then the Reaper okay.
Says you.
Yeah.
I will tell you once I taste it, sir.
And just like real mojo, you gotta give it a shake before you pour it.
This one's not playing.
No. Yeah, and I think again, like we said, we're not bringing heat for heat's sake. I think this one actually has a good flavor, but is
Actually-
also very hot.
The flavor hit me before the heat.
Yeah.
It does, and that's what it's made. So it makes you have that flavor first, and the heat rolls in. Well, the habanero is heat first and flavor after.
Right. And that's because of the Reaper. The Reaper in here is
You know what? You're absolutely right because the habanero, when I first had it, I was like, whoa. And then it calmed down. But this one? No, this one's not bad at all. The flavor is actually great.
yeah. And this one is like habanero has that more of that savory sort of feeling to it.
Yeah.
Have you developed like a tolerance of any sorts?
Honestly, not really.
Yeah, this for me is too hot. Personally, this one for me is too hot. I would never eat this unless I'm eating with you guys or something.
I was expecting it to be hotter. I'm not gonna lie.
It gets
Really?
hotter.
No.
No,
It's
no,
hot.
no.
It's hot. But I'm
It's-
saying,
it's-
based on what you guys were
Yeah,
saying,
as I
Right.
said, let's not pretend it's not there.
Right.
It is.
Right,
It
yeah.
is.
And
But
again, that's because of our philosophy is not to create something that's gonna like the bomb that's just gonna hurt you and you
no, but the thing is that this has like full flavor. I taste the heat. Yes, it's spicy, but I taste the flavor, the ingredients.
So let me ask you guys something as I'm letting this heat linger on my palate and I'm starting to sweat, and my nose is running. So I mean, you guys are father and son.
Yeah.
What is it like working together? Because I can think of a million challenges to working with your father and also working with your kid, and yet here you guys are, and you seem to not want to kill each other.
Yeah. I think,
So that's a step in the right direction.
I think the fact that this came kind of as a passion project for both of us, like this is our side gig right now. He works. He's a tech guy. I'm a data analyst. Like this is not our main job. So we actually enjoy doing this as like a hobby, as opposed to like being like, oh, this. If we don't get the sauce out, it's not like our life depends on it. So I think that has made it kind of more fun for us as a kind of a side gig and something that we can like. I don't know. It became something that we just do together as a hobby, as opposed to like running a business. And then the business kind of came afterward,
Right.
So I think about our relation, and especially in running the business, it still feels like that. Like, hey, we're going to go sell hot sauce on this weekend at Vizcaya or whatever, at a farmer's market. It feels like that's still early stages, even though we've kind of moved past that. And I think that's helped maintain our relationship through it.
Yeah, and the story said we started this as us in the kitchen and trying to make spicy pork and spicy turkey for Noche Buena. So it really, and again, I'm a guy that whatever I get into, I get into, right?
Okay,
It's a
okay.
deep dive. And then Kevin had done this. I was like, man, we should put this on a deep dive again, just for us, right? Just so we would have this, and just for us, for the family, and
Yeah.
again, it didn't start off like we're gonna make a business around this, but he's so good in the kitchen, right? Like again, I can make 15 things amazing. Kevin can make anything amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he definitely sounds like a hell of a
already know what you
cook.
made. He made dinner for me on Tuesday, and it was like the best chicken I ever had in my life.
Yeah, so I think we also have a good dynamic where my dad is the businessman. He's the doer. There wouldn't be bottles in front of you today if it wasn't for him. But I get to be more creative and enjoy that sort of creativity, and I can count on him to get it, to get us across those goalposts. So I just think that we have a good dynamic for this business as well. Despite being father and son.
So, what's your favorite sauce?
Mine, it's kind of controversial because I run a hot sauce business, but my eldest one, halabao, the thing that I like about halabao specifically is that because it isn't too hot, you could just dump it on whatever you're eating. And I love that mojo flavor. Like, the other sauces, you have to be a little more conservative, a little more tame with how you put it on whatever you're eating. But halabao and piñazo are probably my favorite because I like that they're milder.
How about yours?
I'm like Kevin. I mean, I cook a lot with halabao, but I eat a lot of piñazo. And whatever I cook in halabao, and then we have like, we all, what happened in COVID is everybody became a good cook again. Either you were a good cook or you gave up, right?
Or you did Postmates.
Or you did Postmates. And so I probably would cook only on maybe Sunday at my house. But then after COVID, I cook 2 or 3 days a week now. And then sometimes Kevin comes over and cooks. So really like we have like everybody discovered air fryers. COVID was like discovery of the air fryer.
Air fryer renaissance, yeah.
And the funny thing is,
That and baking bread.
baking bread.
Yeah.
He can bake bread. I can't bake bread. Kevin can bake bread. But the funny thing was, like, then I learned this like, tech that if you put a little bit of beer and a little bit of, right, it makes anything stick to protein better, right? So it's a little bit of beer, a lot of halal. I put it on chicken tenderloins. I put it on like my meats. So it really, really adds that flavor. And then if you were somebody that's Cuban, right, it'll be hot, but it's not hot. Like,
Right, not offensively hot.
It'll be like somebody had a chorizo or something, It'll be like there's a little heat to it, but it's not gonna linger. And then I add my piñazo on top of that.
Right. So, and I think that's what's good about what I think is so amazing about our sauce is that they do double as marinades. Like you can use them to effectively break down meats or whatever you're making because they have that nice acid content. And they work well as sauces on top of whatever you're
What
eating.
I'm curious, so I think what I'm gonna do, because I love to cook, is maybe create something where I use it as a marinade, but then I also use it as a base for a sauce. Like you had me at spicy mayo, because I think that this would be a great base for like a creamy sauce.
Yeah. I like to go I buy the Kewpie mayo from the Japanese market and mix it with el habanero. And
This guy speaks my language.
He really does.
Yeah, I know. You and I already are on the same wavelength about this sort of stuff, but I like experimenting exactly with these sauces because I think that they have that sort of flexibility and they're dynamic enough to work, well in a variety of cases.
So I think my favorite was Best Day Ever.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Really? And we have a lot of folks. So basically, we have like in like South Florida, El Jalabao is our highest selling. But outside of South Florida, Best Day Ever and Piñazo are our best sellers.
Yeah.
Right? And then habaneros for the people that then there's people that only like habanero hot sauce.
Yeah, habanero is one I suffered through the most.
Yeah. It's because it has no sort of protection on it. And again, something that we mentioned earlier about our sauces, we use the whole vegetables. Everything goes with it, except for the stems, basically. So you may get a hotter bite on each one than the last. If you got a chunk of habanero on your bite of habanero, it's not be as bad as his if he had only no habanero and just had tomato and garlic and stuff.
Right. The chunkiness is still in there. And, and that's what happens when you cook
I'm
it.
loving the chunkiness of these.
But again, I can't commend you enough of the complexity in terms of like the heat is there, it's there, but the sauces have flavor. I'm not blinded by the lights, como these are the weekend, that I'm like, my mouth is on fire and I don't know what I'm tasting. Right. These have a very distinct flavor. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and back to in our websites now, in our barbaromojo.com website, we've added a whole bunch of these recipes, right? And a whole bunch of video because we love, for us, cooking is community, right? And so
absolutely.
At my house, we're always cooking something. Like this year, we cooked
here we're just munching on the mariquitas.
This year for vacation, we cooked every day to have content, right? So I was cooking, or Kevin was cooking, or our best friend was cooking. So we made everything with hot sauce, right? We made a paella in hot sauce, right? We made ropa vieja with hot sauce with my best friend Miguel.
I made those Japanese onigiri rice balls with the spicy mayo habanero. And also, so because we got our roots sort of just sharing these sauces freely with our friends and family, they make their own stuff with it and they send it to us and say, oh my god, I made this chili, or I made this fried fish and I put your sauce on it.
Like somebody made like spicy mac and cheese, and it's on our website, but that was a friend of ours who goes, oh, I want to make a spicy mac and cheese. And some people said, I put it on my ice cream. And I never, ever, ever, ever put hot sauce on a pizza. Piñazo on a pizza is amazing.
Yeah, it's very good.
I bet.
Like, I never heard of that because, again, I've only been eating hot sauce like 10 years, right?
Not even.
Since
I started, I showed them that you should have hot sauce.
When did you start?
Yeah, like in the mid-2010s, basically. That's when I started really eating hot sauce.
You know something else? Each one of them, which is the point, but it's done very successfully, has a very distinct flavor. Because sometimes hot sauces, it's even the ones you can taste, it's just they all taste the same. You can tell there's tomato based, and then whatever pepper.
But that's also a lot of this trial and error we do.
Right.
We're trying to make I don't know. We should talk about our new sauce we're trying to make.
We have something cooking up in development here.
Yeah, and like that one is like this is where the push and pull happens between us, right? Because I'll do something and I get it like, and then Kevin goes, let me go.
I go, this is awful. Let me try it myself.
It has too much of X and too much of Y.
Right.
I want. So we have two that are, we know that were part of the original four.
Right.
Part of the original four was 2 greens and 2 reds.
Right.
So we still have another green and red that will hopefully come out in the
It's
future.
under development.
Yeah.
No, those are done. We sold those.
We just haven't put them out to production yet.
Yeah, we sold those when we started our red kitchen.
So when you mentioned the distinct flavors of each sauce, that was a big part of our decision making on which ones we wanted to bring to production. That we had made many different flavors in our kitchen at home. Which are the ones that we wanted to mass produce? And the big intentional part of it was, let's create the most different sauces.
Yeah. Right.
Because we have, like you said, we have another green and another red, but the other green is similar to jalapeno and the other red is similar to el habanero. Right. So that's why we decided these are our 4 solid, our 4 like mainline ones. Matanza is our new seasonal one that you can get. And we're probably going to start rotating this 5th sauce.
So that's what we started doing is, we don't have a lot of Matanza, right? And when we say we're mass producing them, we produce 5,000 bottles of each of these a year, so it's
small
not,
batch. Still.
These are we're small batch.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, still 5,000 is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
hold on.
Compared to what you started, that is
Yeah.
mass production.
I mean,
Or like some of these big companies you compete with make 5,000 an hour.
You know how much Tabasco makes? It's like we're talking millions and millions of
right.
bottles.
Right.
So like, yeah, we say mass produced, but still within the small batch realm, you know.
And this is where I spent a lot of time looking for the right co-packer. We spent a lot of time looking for the right partners.
Right.
Because we wanted, everybody said, oh, the co-packer is going to ruin it. But we found the person said, hey, we cared as much as you do. And he was like, and then I wanted to be sold everywhere. This is where.
Well, I was going to tell you, as we, come to an end, tell our people where they could find your sauces.
So the best place to find it is barbaramojo.com.
Okay.
But we're, if you're in South Florida, Chug sells it. David was here now in South Miami. It's a brand new hot sauce store. They have it.
I know his brother.
Yeah, and I go now. If you're like, again, if you're in other states, go to our website. We're now like in 6 states. There's 6 states that carry our 7 states that carry our hot sauce. Where you can walk in and buy it. Right?
Shops. Yeah.
And
I had like different stores.
in different stores or in different restaurants. But the goal there is come to our site, because if you buy from us, you'll be in the know of what we do next. And again, we're gonna have a lot of seasonal things like Matanza. We only made like 10 cases, 15 cases.
Now that you said seasonal, por favor, no me hagan un pumpkin spice mojo hot sauce.
No, yeah.
Calabaza maybe. We'll make a calabaza.
Yeah, but calabaza and pumpkin are not the same thing.
Exactly right.
Yeah, a big drive for us is maintaining that sort of Cuban culture as a part. Like, we're not going to depart too far from that. Like, piña, mango, that's staples in a Cuban household. Like, you're going to have those normally.
The next one we're working on now is something every Cuban household would know. That word would,
Ooh, should we take a guess?
No, let them have it.
All right. I was
Oh,
gonna.
you can guess.
My guess is like maduros.
Close. That's pretty close.
I want to say that's close.
Okay. All right.
But
That's it.
yeah. Wow, there you go. That was number 2, I guess. So, yeah, we're still experimenting with guayaba and our.
But the funny thing is, people have asked us for Maduro hot sauce. They've asked us for a guava hot sauce, and they've asked us for.
Someone said mamey, and I said, "There's no shot. You're
mamey.
mixing mamey with this."
Yeah, mamey's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a hard sell. I love mamey personally, but not for this.
Yeah, and those are things where it's hard to dial those things in, because we want it to be good, right? And it's like, and then to be honest, people have come and said, "We'll buy the brand and buy everything from you," right? And we said no. Like, this is like, it's I want this to be a family business.
Right.
It's something I do with my kids, and really, I mean, my whole family is involved.
Yeah.
My
Mom,
whole real
my younger
family
brothers.
and my Cuban family and my nieces and nephews.
Congrats, because we've been doing Pim Pam Pollo for 3 years now, and nobody in our families is involved. So,
Wait till your kid gets up and he'll do it. Like,
Well,
that's the
he's
thing.
helped us.
He's
He
helped us
has
a few
helped us.
times.
He has helped us. He has.
How, when you said, which flavor, people have asked us, I thought you were going to say, like, tamarindo. Like,
No,
Solo para brindar un domingo. That's it.
yeah, tamarindo no.
Yeah.
I don't like tamarindo. It has to be something I like.
That's
Has to be something
that
you
is
like.
a bit of a picky eater. I'm more adventurous, so I'm more willing to experiment.
Bueno, guys, thank you so much for coming. Your sauces are amazing, but it also helps that you guys are like really, really nice people. Because it would be bad if you make great hot sauces, but you're just crappy. But you guys are great people, and it's a great story. It's an absolutely great story, and I think people love to hear how. Because so many times we have ideas of what we want to do, and I make this that's good, I make that's good, and even if it's not food, maybe something just crafty, and people don't know how to start. They just don't start. They a million reasons why, but you guys actually did it. You wanted to do it. You had this sauce. You took it step by step, and now you have your own sauces that are mass produced and sold around the world. So congratulations to that. That's quite the feat. Not a lot of people get to do that. So especially when the bottle has your picture on it.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Anyway, but to our Pero Primos out there, again, barbaromojo.com and your Instagram.
Barbaro Mojo.
Barbaro Mojo.
Everywhere.
So check them out. They are delicious.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.